From Mark Fisher Fitness's birth, we have leveraged one customer service pro tip above all others. I think this particular move has had a massive impact on the types of results we've had for the last 12 years. And today, I shall teach it to you. My name is Mark Fisher from businessforunicorns.com. And if you like this kind of pro tip, well, then you might like checking out the Business for Unicorns podcast. If you either prefer to consume content via podcast, or maybe you want to watch a video while listening to the podcast, which you could do, but that would get kind of weird because it's like, I'm saying one thing, the kid's saying another. That maybe don't do that, but do subscribe to the Business for Unicorns podcast, link in the description box below. Now, without further ado, today's video is going to be pretty short because it's pretty simple, but I just do want to make a book recommendation first, which is where we got this particular SOP. The book is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, this is an old-timey book, and I'm joking. It's not really about manipulating people, but I do think as far as books go, in spite of being relatively old, it does actually a pretty good job of reverse engineering social skills. And well, sometimes people in the fitness industry are good at deadlifts, but their arms are folded a lot, and their faces don't move, and they're not particularly fun to be around. So sometimes you have to help people understand how to lubricate their social encounters. And this book has a lot of goodies. But the one I'm talking about today, the most important thing that has been an obsession with Mark Fisher Fitness from day one is use people's names. Use their names. Dale Carnegie says that the favorite sound, the favorite word of any human is their name. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. It sounds maybe a little narcissistic, but I'll say this, if someone says your name, it catches your attention. So you want to build in your standard operating procedures exactly what that means. So two very specific examples in the MFF universe where we leverage this is, number one, we have an SOP around what we call greetings greatness. So if someone walks in the room, either in the front door or they walk into the space, we're doing small group personal training, it is the responsibility of MFFers in the room to say, hey, Mrs. Rossini, how are you doing today? To greet the person, importantly, by name. Now, here's the thing. If you have a gym with a lot of clients like we do at Mark Fisher Fitness, it's actually a little harder to do than it sounds because there are going to be a lot of people coming and going. Now, this is an easy enough solve, but you have to back it out and then add into the actual SOPs for your team members to spend time reviewing your class and small group personal training rosters so that every day, either before shift or in between shifts, you remind yourself and begin to knit together who the individuals are in the class. Because I'll say briefly, a lot of people will sometimes say things like, oh, I'm not very good at names. And I don't necessarily dispute that some people have likely a more natural affinity for this, but I'll say this is a skill that can be developed. If you take seriously becoming expert in your clients and who they are, and you really create systems to invite your entire team to become obsessed with your clients and really get to know them as humans, this is one of the best things that you can ask of your team to do. Not only is it going to improve your business results and have better retention and better sales and develop friendships quicker, but you're also helping people feel more seen. And without getting on a soapbox, I think about the power of creating an intentional community where people are seen as a human. My gosh, I think this is a really beautiful way of helping people know, I see you, you're seen in the space, you're welcome in the space, I know you, and we're happy to have you here. One other way we use at Mark Fisher Fitness, which I invite you to steal, is clarifying in whatever your training system is, what are the standards that you expect your coach to use the client's name? So as an example, in Mark Fisher Fitness, we have classes of 15 people, and the standard is everybody in that class should hear their name 3 times. And to be clear, it's not like, Mrs. Rossini, Mrs. Rossini, Mrs. Rossini, check. That wouldn't be doing it. That's honoring the letter of the law, but not the spirit. So ideally, this is connected with some sort of either meaningful social encounter, a check-in, in a perfect world with some type of particular technical coaching feedback, which could either be constructive, could be offering a variation on the movement, or sometimes just giving specific positive feedback about why their push-up looks so good. Now, there's room for you to decide on what feels reasonable for the models that you offer. Like I said, for us, and I'll say here in closing, once again, we must inspect what we expect. So you have to show stubborn, pig-headed discipline as the owner and manager. If this is an important standard for you, there have to be some sort of systems where you're either doing secret shoppers or, for instance, with our trainers, when we have them audit these sessions, one of the things they'll give feedback on is how many times did I hear individuals' names, even going so far as have a class list and do a check off every time that the name is said. So there you go. As promised, quick little pro tip for you today. My hope is you can use this to not only get better results, and again, I do think you're going to make more money because you're going to have better retention, people stick around longer, but importantly, you're going to express in your business's give a shitness and help people feel seen in a world where that doesn't happen to enough people enough of the time. So as always, if you're interested in finding out more about what we do, head over to businessunicorns.com. We'll find a number of ways we help gym owners just like you create more income, more impact, and more freedom. And if you want some more customer service fun, 2 things for you to do. Number 1, hit subscribe. Do it. And number 2, check out the link in the description box below on my video for 3 tips to make clients stay longer. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you soon for another video where I'll share more actionable tips, psychological frameworks, and philosophy.